Hey guys,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How were your holidays?
Very chill.
Very,
Very did a lot of nothing and it was fantastic.
I love that. I was right alongside you. I did nothing but eat cookies and drink milk all holiday.
Yep. Too
Are there
many cookies.
any Christmas cookies that are like in your area or something? Like
Oh no, my mom is just a great baker. So
Oh,
she makes like five or six different kinds. So
you are
and
so
I
lucky.
yes, I have to eat them all. Don't want them to go to waste.
no, that's we can't let cookies go to waste. It's not good.
Exactly.
hmm
So are cookies biscuits or are they the crunchy kinds, the soft kinds, the
Both. Yeah, we have usually makes like shortbread, like some sugar cookies. She makes like these like peanut butter ones too. There's a new thing she made this year is like this like caramel like shortbread bar. Holy moly, those things are
Ooh,
so good. Yeah. I was
what's
like
in
I'm not like a big caramel guy either, but oh my gosh, I could not stop shoving them down. They're so
what
good.
what is I need to know after you said caramel, you got me hooked. What's in there?
It's just like I think it's just like this like layer of like shortbread and then like shortbread crumbles on top and then just like
Wow.
caramel. Yeah.
That sounds delicious.
Oh, yeah. It was so good. Probably had at least 20 of those.
It's what the holidays are for, though. The holidays are meant for eating cookies and doing nothing.
Exactly. Um, Also coming back from the holiday, I didn't necessarily have anything to talk about today. This I was just gonna kind of leave this as an open forum. If anyone had any topics they wanted to go over, then yeah, we could do that. But yeah, I don't didn't really expect this to take the full hour. Um, so yeah, I mean, does anyone have anything they want to talk about or go over, have questions?
that definitely we've had a lot going on in the Python SDK. It's been a wild ride this holiday period. But I noticed Keith is here, so hi Keith. I don't know if you have
Hi,
something in mind that
Keith.
you want to talk about.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Yeah, I maybe have one topic, but also related to the Python SDK. I, well, maybe I'll just start with that one. Maybe it's gonna be fast. A while ago we had talked about extending the testing to the Python SDK, Robert, the TCK testing. Is that what's the state of that?
I haven't looked into it. I can make a note to look at that. But I do believe that the TCK server for the Python was developed at one point. I don't necessarily know if that's been updated or if endpoints have been added. But yeah, I remember when Richard's son was helping us out with some stuff earlier last year. That's something he picked up. Yeah, and I'm just not, I don't know what the state of that is currently, but I believe the work is there, or at least the start of it. Um, yeah, I can make a note to look into that a little bit more.
Is that something um, if any of the line chain t people have downtime or have availability, is that something we could, is it possible we could actually assign one of the line chain people to also work on, part-time on the Python, supporting Python SDK? I don't know if any of the line chain team members have expertise in Python.
We probably want to get the okay from Simi on that. If we want to allocate some more time there. I
Yeah,
know that
for sure.
I think they've kind of been working on Rust, getting the Rust SDK fell behind a little bit, and they're getting that up to speed, at least uh, in the realm of TCK. But yeah, that might be something we could talk about with Simi.
Is Simi on any like community calls that I can attend?
She is not. I could actually I don't know if she's online yet, but yeah, maybe that's something I could message her to see if she could join next week. If we wanted to do that. Uh yeah, and get her input.
Okay, I guess like my next question would be like, if it's possible to have like a SDK chat group or something, or if one exists already, because Angie and I, we've been so busy, and it would just be good to like get some help here and there, and also coordinate on some issues and things. Like for example, Rob, we had like the good first issue thing in the C++, which had like a solo test failure. It would just be good to just learn what these things are resolved so we can keep moving things forward.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I think at least in my opinion, something like that maybe should have been like put somewhere in like the High Road Discord, so just, people could just be a bit more aware. I think it would be good to kind of push these chats into into the Discord so that they're more public. And yeah, I mean this would require, more people to kind of pay attention to that. But I think I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be a good spot for that.
But some of, I mean, I understand having a public chat, but sometimes some things are not yet like agreed upon or developed. It's just rough, let's say, and in that case, I would argue like there's a role for something that's not in the public chat available for everybody.
Hmm. Um, yeah, maybe let me look into that more. Yeah, I think it would maybe be good. Yeah, maybe have like Simi in at least like one of those chats. So she can at least kind of be aware of what's going on and doesn't just rely on me or Keith or anyone just like updating her. Um,
Yeah, I mean, we attend these community calls and things, and we always regularly give updates with what's happening on our side, but things are really exploding, and we're not really able to communicate very far.
hmm. So when you say like communicate, like in terms of like getting more help, or 'cause I know that's something you mentioned before, like you'd want more people to look at PRs, or you would like tag um some of us to look at that stuff for you. Is that just kind of what you're talking about now too?
Um, no, I think the kind of issues that we're running into now are Hiero general issues that we need multiple people to coordinate on. And we don't have any relationship with the governance repo or anything like that either. So it's just very hard when we have a problem to get anything solved on our side. So like the commenting things and stuff, that was something we faced a couple months back. But now there's a whole bunch more other things that are happening, and we I don't want to keep taking the focus away from the SDK community calls to always be talking about like this is what's happening in the Python SDK. But like I feel, it's just, yeah. I don't know, Angie, if you want to talk more about that. Like Angie's been through this with me the whole time as well. And Keith has his hand up. So Keith.
So, it might be helpful if we could separate out the issues. So you've mentioned Hiero issues. I'm guessing that's Hiero GitHub issues. I mean, because I think that would be one specific set of team that would help you on that. And then I think the other set of issues is more like general, like you mentioned solo issues. Okay, well that's a different team. And then I'm guessing there's just maybe more just general like Hedera, Hiero, like the Hiero network issues. That would all, I mean, how do we, can you help me put the issues into buckets? Would those be the right buckets?
Yeah, I think so. That clarifies that we quite often face quite a lot of different issues, and we don't have ways of resolving those ourselves, or talking about them really, other than taking up most of the SDK community call.
Well, a while back we had talked about setting up a Ask an Expert a Discord channel. Um, I thought, like, what about Discord? Is that communication channel not working for you?
You mean in the LFDT Ask an Expert?
Or I mean, Robert, I remember we had this conversation about setting up a specific SDK Ask an Expert channel.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what the conclusion on that was. I think my thought at the time was I didn't think we necessarily needed one because we could just like if there was something going on in one of the SDK repos, we could just ask the question in that respective repos channel, and we would expect the maintainers to kind of monitor and answer questions there.
Well, no, but let's say this because we don't have any. Okay, let's just say Hiero experts monitoring the Python SDK. So that doesn't really work, right? Like let's say Sophie had a question about, I don't know, like HIP 1195 or something. Like there is no, like there's none of us monitoring the Python channel. I think that's why we had talked about creating like an ask an expert. When I say expert, I mean like either people that work at Hashgraph or people that work at LimeChain, a channel where Sophia could like reach out and ask questions, more generic questions like, oh, like Solo or a specific like a Hiro network question.
Yeah, I mean there is a hips channel, there is a solo channel. Um, you know, I I st I think I would still like to see those channels being used to ask these kind of questions. I think it's just like a matter of we need to make sure that the maintainers of those understand that they need to like monitor those Discord channels and answer questions when they're posted. Um, yeah, but I
So
mean,
maybe Sophia, can you give us an example of one of your recent questions? Let's just see. Maybe we can just game through it about how it could work.
So maybe a good example would be Rob, the C++ SDK. Angie and we created a good first issue. There's a contributor completed the issue and had the workflows run to check. And then there was a failure because there's an issue with the solo network. And on my side, on one hand, I want to ask what's happening in that issue and if the solo issue is resolved. But on the other hand, I don't want to just, have to keep asking um every few days or something and just, spam the issue. Um, maybe I also don't
Oh,
understand exactly
okay.
what's
Yeah, this
happening.
is a great example, Sophie. So I'm guessing like this was over the holidays, and probably Robert, this is because we're having general salo failures everywhere. So we didn't, I guess we never had a communication of that to other people to let them know, hey, your test's going to start failing.
Yeah,
yeah, that's
so
exactly it.
and we're completely stalled with the good fast issue topic on the C++ SDK and possibly some other SDKs, and that wasn't really something we were planning for.
So, so Robert, I mean, this is a great example, right? Like we have information. We like you and I, we know about this. Maybe the Lime Chain team knows about this solo issues. I don't know. But like third parties working on the SDKs don't know about these issues, and then they get stuck and they don't know what's happening. I don't. So let's just use this example. Like we all knew that there was issues with Solo over the holidays. How would we communicate this to third parties? And I'm just using third parties to like people outside of Hashgraph.
Yeah, I mean, so the problem with this was just like over the holidays, like I think the entire solo team was gone. Like I don't think anyone was really there to like work on it. But what I would have liked to see in this scenario, in any normal scenario, I like any non-holiday scenario, would to see like an announcement or something in the Discord, like either in the solo channel or just like in the announcements channel itself, just saying like, hey, like we see solo is, acting strange. We're working on it. Like hopefully we'll, get it working in the next 3 days or something like that. So
But
like
this is not a
add more.
I mean, I don't see that communication in a general solo channel because this issue was in this specific case, it was not specific to the SDKs, but for all we knew, it was specific to the SDKs. That's where, like, would we expect that the solo team would message that there's an issue with solo if it was specific to the SDKs, or would we have a SDK communication channel to say, hey, like we're having issues with solo SDK tests?
Well, that's just the thing. It's not specific to the SDKs. Like the consensus node is affecting consensus node is affecting mirror node as well. Yeah.
So I think one of the interests that we have is also we want to learn about these issues and we want to I think that's a great part of doing it, but sometimes we also want to help resolve some of these issues because they are blockers to us. So maybe the solo one is something that we can't resolve, but the communication channel or some kind of communication channel would be just really useful to learn the various parties that are involved in this issue. So if we just have to communicate with the solo team, maybe we don't recognize that it's a mirror issue team, and maybe it affects this and affects this. So I think yeah. So Angie and I don't know, Angie, if you want to talk about it, but we are moving really fast. And we're always working on things, getting things done because we need to keep moving really quickly. And especially during the Christmas holidays, this was really difficult because one, lots of people were away, but also we just couldn't find ways to contact people that may be there and could be able to help. And I feel that this system that we have just kind of like pigeonholes us to only be able to talk about very, very specific issues, but doesn't necessarily help us resolve more global problems or things that we need to talk through to multiple different people, as well as not being updated on things. Angie, do you have anything you want to talk about with that? Just to kind of maybe explain better than I am. I've been running around all day. Sorry.
No, you're good. So I think the I'll just use the C++ example. I think the biggest thing we're trying to do is bring awareness, especially to those who are as outsiders, who are newcomers, who are not part of Hashgraph, who are not part of anything to do with Hiero whatsoever. Our thinking is that a newcomer could be a little I shouldn't say newcomer, I should say contributor. They may be a little hesitant to continue their contributions if they're not looped into that conversation as well. Especially those who are just going in, they may not be contributors, maybe they're just reviewing the PR, but they're not being looped into that discussion of what is exactly happening with Slowlo, where is that going, when is there going to be a resolution in place, how long is this going to take, do we have an anticipated timeline of when this issue will be resolved, things of that nature. So I think our biggest thing would just be how do we keep ourselves more in the loop beyond just what we're seeing and beyond spamming the issue. We don't want to overwork the issue. We definitely don't want to spam it. So we just kind of want to bring awareness to everybody who should know about it, who should be involved. But I see Keith, you got your hand up. Go ahead.
Well, I want to back up a few steps because I think it's too much to ask. Okay, so let's just use your example. Like we had somebody who contributed a first issue to the C++ repo, and their PR, their PR was failing. The tests were failing. Like, I would not expect that person to have any understanding of what Solo is, or to understand that they need to go to the Solo channel to like figure out what the problem. Like that's way beyond what we should be expecting any contributor to understand. So maybe like all they should have to understand is, hey, my tests are failing. I don't know why they're failing, and they should have a communication channel to ask somebody, hey, why are my tests failing? Like, and then we should be able to have a channel to respond, hey, well, your tests are failing because of, there's an issue with Solo. I mean, Robert, does that seem reasonable? Like, I think we cannot expect, especially first time contributors. I mean, we have to have a channel to say if your tests are failing. And I guess what's interesting about the C++ repo is like, this should be a monitored repo from the line chain folks. And maybe this is more just an issue that people were on vacation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think at a minimum we need better communication channels. Yeah. I don't think there's a debate on my side about that. That's a minimum need. But Angie and I, we have something else in mind to talk about today that was maybe will illustrate better the kind of the kind of things that are happening at the moment. Because there's so many of us in the Python SDK, and we're all working like more than part-time on it because it's just insane what's happening. Yeah, so there's a lot of things going on, and we would really like to be able to like explain maybe more about what's happening and hopefully what we need from Hiero as a whole. And we can brainstorm how to do that perhaps. But yeah, Robert.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, like about like you want a place where you can ask questions, get updates, like just be more in the know about like what's happening in Hyro. I guess I'm still failing to see why that can't just be the Discord. I mean, we have several channels in there. Like I think the problem, obviously, we just had the holidays, that's a thing in itself. But I think maybe just on like the hash graph side, we need to come up with more clear direction on um like what needs to be posted in there, like so for example, like this solo failure, like if we weren't over the holidays, like I think that's something that could have been posted there or announced, and that would be a good way for people to be in the know about what's going on there. um Again, I think it's just a matter of just making that more a part of what we need to do on the Hashgraph side now that we're also maintainers of these Hyro repos. It kind of goes back to that what are the responsibilities of a maintainer, um, and just coming up with clear cut instructions on what needs to be done, like what people need to remember to look at. Stuff like that. Um,
Oh, Robert, I just want to come back, Robert. Like, if you're a first-time contributor to the C++ repo, we can't expect them to understand that we have something called Solo underneath the hood that's running the GitHub test, right? Like that's a level of knowledge way too deep. I mean, or do you expect people to understand that, especially like a first-time contributor?
no, I
That's
mean
I
like
mean, to me that seems really a high bar.
yeah, no, I expect first time contributor to, submit a PR, something fails. I wouldn't expect them to fully understand that. I would expect them to be like, hey, I don't know what's going on here, and then the maintainer to come in and be like, oh, like, there's been a failure here, yada yada. We expect it
Oh,
to, be
no.
fixed
Oh,
by
okay,
tomorrow.
so I think we're on the same page. So what in your world, how do you see that first time contributor? Like, do you see them reaching out on Discord? Because they could also create an issue on the GitHub repo, and that should be managed by like we should have people looking at those issues on the GitHub repo. But so in this specific case, what would be the path for the first time contributor? Would you want them to reach out on a dedicated C++ communication channel on Discord, or would you expect them to raise an issue on GitHub and that somebody from our team would pick that up?
No, so
Well,
we have a good first issue support team that was an initiative from myself and Angie and a couple other people. So this issue was created with the help of the good first issue support team, was mentored, they got over the finish line to do that, and then we ran into the solo failure, which is something that the good first issue support team can't control. So in that case, that's when I would be the point in contact to maybe help move some things along or something. But yeah, so I think the Good First Issue support team will be able to like provide more of that support network to the new starters. But now we have the issue of the people mentoring the new starters need to have enough communication channels. But if it's okay with you, I would love to talk more about what's been happening the last couple of weeks in the Python SDK. Angie, I know you've got your hand up. Is there something you want to talk about as well?
Yes, coming back to Keith, your point, you're definitely correct. We should not be expecting them to have an in-depth understanding of Solo. So my thought process, and Rob, let me know what you both think as well. What if we were to introduce some kind of workflow or some kind of bot that would provide them a link to a specific Discord channel where they could go in and ask their questions, try to maybe enhance their understanding, and possibly even learn more about Solo if they're interested in that? What were what would be your thoughts on that, Robert and Keith?
Well, this is a great example because like the issue with Solo is just a generic issue with Solo, and it's not even to do with Solo, it's to do with like how they've configured Solo. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is an issue I would never want any SDK contributor to ever have to understand. It's just it's so in the weeds, it's so deep. I think none of us even understand. It's just about some of the config. So like this is more an issue where it's like we needed some place to notify people, hey, we have an issue with our SDK test. We know we have an issue with the SDK test. We're working to resolve it. Yeah, please expect your test to fail. That's like the beginning and the end of the communication we needed for this specific issue. Because there's only like two people in the world that can fix this issue, and they were both out on holiday.
Yeah, I think we sorry, Keith, did we lose you there, or did you go on mute?
No,
Yeah,
that
your
was it.
mic
I
cut
just think
out.
I just think this is a great example of, yeah, this is an issue that nobody could have solved. So we just needed a way to communicate to everyone that, like, hey, we have an issue. We know we have an issue. Yeah.
Yeah, just some kind of timeline. So we will be back 12th of January or whatever, and then please follow up afterwards. Yeah, something like that would help. Yeah, anyway, so with the Python SDK, so what's happened, long story short, is this was really busy. We have 100 contributors now. And the reason why we have been so successful at getting contributors in Hiero, I think, is because we have progression for the new starters. So you can see here we have beginner labels, intermediate labels, advanced labels, as well as good first issue labels. So what happens is people know exactly where to start, good first issues, and then they work their way to beginner issues, intermediate issues, advanced issues, and they progress. So this means that we have become possibly too attractive for developers in Hiero. And we are quite possibly absorbing a lot of developers that would have gone to other SDKs. I know for a fact there are many SDK developers inside the Python SDK whose primary language is not Python and they don't really want to be here, but they're here because they like learning about DLT technology in general, but they really actually want to do JavaScript, or they want to do Go, or they want to do Java. So we have really talented people, really motivated people that actually want to be in other SDKs. Some of these people have actually even commented on other Hiero-based projects, and they either don't get a response or there's no clear documentation for the issue, and they self-select themselves away from that. They're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, so I'm just not going to even comment on it, first of all. And so this means the Python SDK has absorbed pretty much every developer that is not originating from the existing team. And that puts a lot of stress on us Let's say I was the only maintainer that was active during the Christmas holidays. And most of this we added these labels out of necessity. We added the workflows that Angelina is talking about out of necessity. So, for example, when somebody wants to contribute to a new issue, they can self-assign now. We added that out of necessity because we have so many developers wanting to get assigned all the time that it's a 24/7 job for myself at 3 a.m., at 11 p.m., at 8 a.m. If I'm at work, people still want to be assigned. They still want to work on the issues. So we created these, we had to do these automations. We had to do these labels. And we have had to add mentorships and stuff. So we actually have like 15 different bots, and we have people that get automatically mentored and everything like that. We have had to do that. But the result of that is that we've got an even better place to contribute to. And people are still just piling in, and they are working their way through all these issues. These are things that were opened yesterday. And you can see quite a lot of them are already taken. We only have 2 pages of issues because they get solved. And we have 14 open pull requests. And with each of our pull requests, we have an AI that's already reviewing them, first of all. So when somebody opens up a pull request, I don't think I've seen this one yet. We have all these workflows that get triggered. We have the AIs that review it. So that give like concrete suggestions of what to do, what not to do. And based on that, the user self-improves it. And then we then review it. We've grown our Python SDK team. Our team members are now documented here. These are our triage members from last month. And as soon as possible, I haven't been able to propose anybody because I don't have anyone to contact. Everybody's away and the governance doesn't work. But I really need new triage members, and I really need new committers, and I really need a new maintainer, and I can't push those forward, and I haven't been able to for quite a while. So this list is not up to date, but you can see the success of having 100 contributors. Last month we had 7 independent triage members, and that's going to funnel, you'll see, with the next governance pull request that I will do to create more committers and more maintainers. So this system is working to train people from scratch. They can be from any background, any country, any degree, and they start with good first issues. They work their way through beginners, they work their way through intermediate, advanced, and then they have enough contributions to Hiero to qualify as triage. And then they learn the soft maintainer skills to then eventually become committers and so on. So the issue that I would like to reaffirm is we are attracting far too many developers, and I believe we are absorbing developers from other SDKs, which I don't think is the best way to take advantage of the situation. Here we have shown a reproducible method to onboard 100 different contributors. And the method is to just label the issues and also to document them. And we would like more help with this. Angie, I don't know if you want to add anything more to that. Keith, I know you have your hands up, but I was talking with Angie quite a lot about this through the Christmas holidays, so I'm sure she will also have something else she wants to add to this.
I do, but Keith had his hand up. Go ahead, Keith.
No, I mean, I think this goes into exactly what you guys are going to ask. So, this is amazing. Like you're blowing my socks off. I think obviously the request is how do we better support you? So maybe we can go into that part of the conversation, which I think you're just about to go into, Sophie, is like what do we need to do to better support you?
Sophie, if you want me to do that, or do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I think I will answer it and then I will pass it on to you. So we think so we need to level up the rest of Hiero I think primarily. So that there's a fair distribution of new starters inside Hiero, and then people that want to contribute to the repositories feel that they can. And to do that, we believe we need two things. We need a bigger good first issue support team, and secondly, we need this labeling system to be applied across the SDKs at the minimum. Angie, do you want to continue on that to explain that as well?
Uh, yes. So what we are thinking, Sophie had a very good pull request submitted. I think it was actually just merged a moment ago, but I do have it up here. So this pull request more or less will outline what we do consider a intermediate issue versus what we do not consider. I can
Wait,
post the
wait,
link.
Angie, let me. So I
You,
did merge it. Let me give you the updated link to where they
yeah,
are located. So for
okay.
anyone who's curious, part of figuring out how to label things, we had to have criteria. So we've done that. We've created a criteria of what is a good first issue, a beginner issue, an intermediate issue, an advanced issue. And what we discovered was all the things that we thought 3 or 4 months ago that were good first issues are actually probably intermediate issues.
Hmm.
That's why the SDKs are not absorbing new developers. The issues are simply too hard and they're not documented. So we have guidelines from that. Yeah, Angie. So I put the link there.
Yes. So or what I should say, what Sophie created, was a document, again, to go over and outline more or less what we do and do not consider a good first issue. Our proposal or suggestion would be to implement something like this into, for example, the C++ SDK. We would put this in here, and from there, the maintainers, GFI committers, triage, whoever, they would go in and they would kind of take a look at what are the current C++ issues. They would kind of revamp them to follow the guidelines of what we've created here in the Python SDK. So that's where the labels would come in. They would be labeled intermediate. They could be labeled good first issue. They could be labeled advanced. From there, we felt as though that would be a clear kind of pathway for new contributors to come in to kind of ease those fears. They feel comfortable taking on those initial issues. And then once they've made their first contribution at that point, we would give them the ability to take on anything that we consider an intermediate, an advanced issue, so on and so forth. Keith, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, that was an accident. Maybe just I'll just throw in a question here.
Okay.
But when we talk about first issues, we are not specifically talking about SDK, right? We're talking about this is a first issue architecture for all Hiero repos or only for the SDK repo?
No, that is correct. So initially, what we didn't want to overwhelm anyone. So we were thinking in the context, and when I am talking, I'm saying for the SDKs to start. But the overall goal in our minds, and Sophie, if you want to chime into this one, would be to actually implement this kind of flow into all of the repositories, the SDA collaboration hub, C++, Swift, Go, Rust, just about anything. This way, not only would we see this same contributor turn out for the Python SDK, at that point, we would start to be able to see it for all of the repositories, not just Python. But to answer your question, I think to start, we would probably just forward it to either C++ if they're interested in taking this kind of idea on, Swift as well, to see what their turnout will be in a sense. Are they going to have the same turnout as Python? Are they going to have an even bigger turnout? And if they have a bigger turnout, what would be our next steps to kind of push them along?
Also, it's important to note that we are actually losing the attention of some of our best developers. I'm the only one mostly creating these advanced issues with Manish. And our most advanced developers have already solved everything. They're looking for more things to do and they can't find them in Hiero, so they're creating their own projects on the side. For me, this is really concerning to see because they are the backbone of what moves the Python SDK forward, and they're so talented. They could definitely be contributing like a lot more, but they don't have the means to be able to do that. So we are losing interest from our best developers because there's not enough intermediate issues or advanced issues being created, and there's not enough good first issues, beginner issues in the new repositories, so that they feel they could start contributing in those areas, and very quickly they'll level up because they have solved some incredible things in the Python SDK. All these bots that you see, that we have 15 bots that auto assign people, give them mentors, they close pull requests, all these things were created by them. And is the Python SDK still quite young, so we're still growing our user base of Python SDK. So we don't have this organic creation of issues by our users. So it's mostly me just creating the issues, and Manish creating some of the more advanced issues. So we have a real problem in retaining some of our more talented developers, and that's why we need Hiero in general to have good first issues and beginner issues in other SDKs, so that they will then attempt the intermediate and the advanced issues as well.
Okay, so here's my takeaway. First of all, like again, I'm amazed. This is amazing, but like we have a great opportunity right here now to enlarge our Hiero contributor base, but you guys need help and resources. So like there's not much that probably Robert or I can specifically do about this. I do think that Sophie, or and Angelina, I think we need to take this presentation to probably Richard and Atul, and I can help facilitate that meeting, because I think what we need to impress upon Richard and Atul is, again, we have this opportunity. If we don't take advantage of it, we're going to lose some of these amazing developers who want to contribute. Because like at the end of the day, I think what this boils down to is we need more resources from the Hashgraph side to be focusing on supporting first issues, supporting questions from developers, supporting all of this Hiero infrastructure, which I think we don't have that focus right now. Now,
Yeah,
I did have
so
one question. Have you discussed this with Hendrik? I mean, I'm guessing Hendrik is fully up to speed on this presentation, or?
so every 2 weeks is possibly the equivalent of 6 months of changes. So he's been updated through this journey. Angelina and I, we attend most, if not all, of the community calls, and we are constantly talking about what's going on. But I think what we've been able to arrive to recently is getting clear on what we need, which is we need a good first issue support team, and we need a like labeling and so on team. It's very manual for Hiero at the moment because Hiero doesn't have these workflows that we have and things. So the resource need is higher than it needs to be. And I don't think it needs to be that high forever, because we've automated quite a lot of this. But yeah, I consider this as, I mean, I don't know if you want to call it a marketing activity. It clearly attracts over 100 developers. It trains them. It turns them into committers, maintainers, but it also converts them into people who are creating fantastic code. But yeah, because it's so manual in the beginning, we really need more resources, and I believe we need more resources than just one person, one extra person, and I think we need to really take advantage of this opportunity, as you say. The need is here right now, and the ability to take advantage of it, and the method is already well established. We have already defined what all these issues are. We know the system of how it works, and we can just explain that to the rest of Hiero.
Okay. Um. So here's
So
my.
sorry, we haven't met Richard yet. And he hasn't attended any of the community calls. I don't know whether that's something that he would do, or does it have to be like a separate meeting? Yeah, how does that work?
Well, because I think this request is very specifically around getting additional Hashgraph resources. And I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I think that's what you need. You need more people working on this problem, supporting you. Um, and the only lever that Robert and I have is getting more Hashgraph people to focus on this. So I think like yes, you're right. Richard and Atul, who are our senior leaders, they don't attend the community calls. So I think that we would need a dedicated time with them. Now, my request, I can work with Hendrik to set up that conversation, and obviously, I would have to, you know, be so kind to get some of your time. I mean, because I would love for you, Sophie and Angelina, to present to them about this opportunity and what you guys need. Um, to me, that's the way I see it about moving this ball forward. Was that something that you'd be open to? Is just having a Yes, it wouldn't be in the SDK, wouldn't be in a community call context. It would probably be a separate private meeting.
Yeah, and in fact, we have spent a lot of time training our own Python SDK people and everything. We even believe that if we are given the ability to have these support teams that work cross Hiero, there are people who lived and breathed this for months already. They came from the good first issues, they worked their way through all of them. They know our workflows intimately, the bots and everything. So Hashgraph resources, fantastic, but also even just investing in our own people and giving them the ability to make changes across Hiero and communicate with people that are able to do that. We would greatly appreciate that.
Yeah. But I would just say like that's also Hashgraph. I mean, that's all Hashgraph resources. I mean, in order, let's say like let's say the maintainer on the C++ repo, we want them to spend more time working with developers who are submitting first issues. That's also Hashgraph resources. So I think that's just why that's like a fundamental question is how do we get more Hashgraph people spending time working with the Hiero community to whether it's labeling issues as first issues or intermediate issues. It's either the labeling of issues, the answering of questions, channels to answer questions. I mean, everything I see to move this ball forward involves the Hashgraph team becoming more involved with community development.
Yeah. I greatly appreciate that. Given that we also need to move things forward as well. Is it Robert? Are you like a maintainer of like the GitHub resources for guidelines and things? Is it possible that we could migrate our issue guidelines, maybe with a few reviews or anything? Do you know how that would work?
Uh, so it, I'm not a maintainer of that, but well, I think kind of the idea that I got from Hendrik, at least first, was that anything we do for like good first issues or just like trying to get more community involvement, we wanted to keep it contained within the SDKs first. And then from that point, once we kind of have everything figured out that we need to have figured out, then we can kind of expand it. So maybe we can maybe put these in the SDK hub for now, and then look to potentially move those into a more Hyro uh centric repo later. Um, yeah.
I think we should circle back with Hendrik because I mean I understand that aspiration, but yet again, if you have a very talented contributor who really wants to contribute to the solo repo, I mean, if we don't provide opportunities for them to contribute, then we just lose that. I mean, we invested in Haro for a reason, is to get more people contributing to all of our repos. So, if we have people that want to contribute to the solo or to the consistent repo, it'd be terrible if we lost that opportunity.
hmm Yeah, no, I'm totally with you, and I agree. I think it's just like we need to figure out like the speed at like what we want to do. I think and Hendrik maybe said that initially, just like use the SDKs as kind of like a kind of like guinea pig, I suppose, to get everything figured out. And workflows and everything in place. But I mean, from the looks of it, it seems like we've got a lot of stuff figured out. At least in the Python SDK. So
Well,
maybe we can move this along quicker than maybe he was anticipating.
Yeah, and I would say we've got it figured out for the Python SDK, but I don't think we've got it figured out yet for, let's say, the C++ or Rust or JavaScript SDKs, right? I mean, is that a fair comment?
No, no, that's totally correct. Yeah, we're still trying to, get good first issues in those repos, uh, like going and supported. So I think maybe that's something maybe we can talk to Simi about too, is if from the Hashgraph side, just emphasizing the importance of getting this going sooner rather than later, just because, solely for the reason of we have one bunch of developers that want to work on these SDKs, but we don't have good first issues for them, then yeah, we're just losing potential contributions and talent.
Yeah, and I think Sophia and Angela, I think the issue is that okay, I mean, I'll just speak for myself. I was not expecting this level of developer engagement this fast. Like, I wasn't expecting this, so I don't think we're ready. So that's why I want to accelerate the conversations with like Richard and Atul and others, because I think we have to say, well, we have this huge flood of developers who want to contribute. We're not quite ready. We need to put some more effort on, like in the ASAP, to be in a better place for I mean, this rush of interest, which is what we want. I mean, we want this interest. This is exactly what we wanted. I think we just weren't expecting it this fast.
I think I would like to add to that point. Angie and I, we've been showing up at the community calls and everything, as mentioned. I think 80% of all the calls we've both attended. Um, we have been saying for quite a while now, I would say months, that we need help and we need help urgently and strongly. Um, that has that is why we had to grow our team organically and we had to do all of the hoops and everything to get there, and that's also why it took us longer to do that. Um, but here we are 2 or 3 months later, and we haven't received that help. So when we're talking about things that we need help, we needed help a while back, and now we are maybe even slightly better than where we were before, but we still need different kinds of help. When we say we need help, we need it, and we need it now. So having a conversation, uh so Hendrik gets back on the 12th. That's already like a week away. And then having a conversation with somebody else and somebody else who all these conversations could easily take 1 month to happen, and then for some other
Well,
conversations to happen. So
what I would say, Sophia, is that one suggestion I would give is, and we need to be specific when we say you need help. This is where it is important to be specific, like what type of help you need, because I think again, this conversation, there's many different types of help, and some of that help can be provided quite fast. Some of this other help might take longer, but um we need to be, when it comes to like the support and help you need, I think that's my one request, is like we as specific as possible about the help you need would
so
be very helpful, because
I think the thing that would help the most is having a clear communication channel. So, for example, I have recently requested to be able to increase our team members. For I have a pull request pending for the Hiero website and things, and that's just left in the ether. And I have
okay,
no way of doing that. So
let's take
I haven't
let's
created.
take that example. Like, I mean, we do have I mean, you have independent communication channels with, I'm guessing, Hendrik or myself. So let's just take that example you gave. What was that request
Um,
about?
that's when. So I'm also a maintainer of the Hiero website, and I need help with the Hiero website. So I would like to add a good first issue support team to the Hiero website.
Okay, okay, let's take that
I will
example.
also show
So,
you. Yeah, if you want, I can show you that. So um, things like this makes me think like I have to wait quite a while until everybody is back. But I'm sure there's some people that's already here that are available.
so
Um,
let's take the Hiro website, because again, I think this is where things can get confusing on our side, because I know you probably see things as like one big Hiro bucket, but then on our side things get broken down. Like, because actually the maintainer of the Hiro website is Hendrik. Um, he's the guy who built it, he's the guy who maintains it, and you have a direct communication line with him. So I think that's where things will probably get confusing for our team. It's just like, well, there is a direct communication line with Hendrik. He owns the Hiero website.
So
Where's the
Hendrik's
gap?
on holiday. I don't know. I'm not part of this governance repo, so I don't know what the systems are to approve it. When I sent this for approval, it requires a review from our Barker dev. That's what I see. Um,
Ah, okay,
you know,
okay. So
I'm a main,
you submitted a PR and you're having trouble getting approval on the PR. That's the issue.
but this is just an illustration. So I have a list of people that I want to add to the trials, to the committers, to the maintainers in the Python SDK, but I've been holding back because I don't know how to, I don't know when I have to wait till. So I have to wait, you
Oh,
know.
okay. So let's take your two issues for to get Roger Barker, our Bark, to approve that. I mean, yeah, you probably just need to ping him in the approval, like directly ping him and say, "Hey, R Bar, can you please review this?" That would probably get that moving. He maybe it's just not noticed that he needs to review something. I know that's a lack of. We don't opt to get notifications when we need to approve PRs. Sometimes you have to manually ping somebody. In terms of adding people to a repo, that is in the governance repo. If you can create an issue and just say to Jessica, sorry, and I know this is like you need a lot of like navigation, but Jessica is the one that would add people to a maintainers to a repo. So we would create an issue in the governance repo to like say, hey, please add the following people to the Python SDK. Sorry, I know that's like specific, but like there is like, I mean, I know we've not documented well how you do these things, and that's obviously a gap. But I'm happy to help you with like through some of these, you know, very discrete things while we figure out like how a better methodology for doing this.
Yeah, thanks. I will take all the help that I can get. I when I say help, I really mean it. Um, and if we can become more specific with that, then that's great. But for now, I'm responsible for 100 developers,
Yeah.
which is something I didn't expect to walk into. So I think the word help is appropriate in
Okay.
this
So
case.
what I think you need, Sophia and Angelina, is a support team that supports you. And that support team will probably include people like Hendrik, people like Jessica, because anything to do with Hiero and Hiero GitHub, like Jessica should be your go-to person. And I think you guys know Jessica.
We've been
Um,
talking a lot with them. I think the issue is now getting bigger than the full-time responsibilities of any of us.
yeah, okay, understood. So let's start working through your issues. Let's get a conversation going with Richard and Atul about some of the gaps and how we can provide additional support, not just for SDKs, but more generically. I think those are some good next steps. And maybe I can connect. I don't think we're connected directly on Slack. Now, unfortunately, like our internal communication vehicle is Slack. Are you connected on Slack with any Hashgraph people, Sophia?
No, I don't speak with anyone from Hashgraph. I only speak to the people that have showed up to the community calls because those are the people that I know.
Okay. I think let's get you connected into Slack. I mean, I don't think that's scalable. We can't do that for all Hyro contributors, but I think you and Angelina are kind of a special case right now. So I would say let's get you connected into a few of our Slack channels because that's a very direct communication. Like when you ping us on Slack, you're going to get an immediate response. Where I understand, like today, unfortunately, with Discord at GitHub, you might not get an immediate response. So I would say let's get you connected into Slack. I can work on that today. And I don't know, any other ideas or suggestions?
That's fantastic. I would really appreciate that. I will maybe send you an email so you have mine. But I have to go because I have to go to my paid work. So I need to leave now.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sophia and Angelina. This is, again, amazing. Just amazing stuff.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah, I think Keith, we'll probably want to rope Simi into that conversation too. So I think we're gonna kind of need like a combined I guess effort to kind of push this more.
Yeah, can I ask a question, Robert? Are I was under the assumption that we were creating first issues in all of the SDK repos. I thought that is it the issues that we have to create more or
So with the Good First Issue support group, we to have the support group support a repo, there needs to be buy-in from the maintainers. And I think a couple of the maintainers still weren't fully on board with it yet. Um, so we have them for the to the C++ repo, and they've
what?
been creating good for.
Sorry, Robert, can you explain that to me? I don't understand that comment. Not on board. What does that mean?
I think they maybe haven't fully bought into the idea of a support group for good first issues. I think they, uh, are, I guess maybe they still want to see it in practice to see exactly how it works. I think they're kind of on the page of like the this should be solely the maintainer's job. Um, but
Sorry, I'm confused, Robert. We are talking about, I mean, the maintainers of these repos are LimeChain folks, right?
correct. Yes,
Okay,
they are Lime
then
folks.
so you're losing me on some of this. So maybe we should sort of touch back on what that means.
Okay, do you want to do that offline or?
Yeah, yeah, let's do that offline.
Yeah, sounds good. Angie?
I just would like to say we were aware some of the maintainers are still coming to grasp with our idea. So we just wanted to simply say, clearly say, we are not here to overstep. We don't want to take any of your responsibilities away. Our goal is to be helpful. We want to help them and help them grow their repositories. So in no way, shape, or form are we trying to overstep on anyone at all. Again, just we just want to be helpful. We want to be supportive, and we want to get everybody as engaged as we possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I think that's on me to maybe explain that a little bit more to them. And kind of push this good first issue effort a little bit more so we can get as many repos going on this as possible. Yeah, again, whether it's with the support group or without, I do think we need to start doing good first issues in some way, shape, or form in all these repos so that we can retain all this or all these developers coming. Um,
Yeah, I mean, again, let's discuss offline, Robert. I think like this should be a priority for all of the LimeChain maintainers. And I don't know why there would really be a discussion or debate about that, but we can talk more. Maybe we go offline and talk more about why that would be.
yep, I totally agree. Yeah, we need to get this going, 100%.
Cool. Awesome.
All right. We are 5 minutes past, so we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
All right, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.